you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile. See you later.
Hey there guys, it's Paul from jonesgreen.com, and this is going to be a comparison between the video quality of the Mavic 2, the Mavic Pro and the Mavic Air. This video is edited in 4K, so if your monitor and computer can handle it, please change the video resolution on YouTube to 4K. This video should help you decide if it's worth to spend your money on the new Mavic 2 camera, or you can stick with the older Mavic or get the cheaper Mavic Air. Of course, these drones aren't just camera. The Mavic 2 has a lot of new functions and sensors all over the place, but we'll talk about that in another video. However, I consider the camera to be one of the most important factors. I want to play a game with you, however. I will first show you the complete videos and won't tell you what it is. I will give them numbers from 1 to 3. Tell me in the comments down below which one you think is the Mavic Air, Mavic Pro or Mavic 2 Pro. So, think you have any idea? Let me show them side by side now and let's comment on the details about it. By the way, you can comment your opinions down below or join our newly created Discord server. There you can talk about the new Mavic 2 with me directly and ask for the raw files if you want, and there's room for everything drone related, including racing, toy drones and more soon. Link to join the Discord server is in the description. In the description I have also linked an official comparison spec cheat sheet from DJI that will help you with the raw specs. In this video, could you guess which one is which? Well, let's get up closer and see some details about it. This house right here shows quite a few things. However, let's stop the videos a little bit and zoom in to see the details up close. At a first glance, the Mavic Pro seems sharper than both the Mavic 2 and Air. Again, these are the default settings with everything on auto. You can always change the sharpness from DJI app or in post-processing. But I'm wondering, is the DJI Mavic 1 actually showing more details than the rest? If you're looking closer, the color reproduction on the Mavic 2 Pro is a little better. As you can see, the grass patch over there and a better, more accurate lighting on the building. But as you can see, there are lines between the construction blocks that seem to appear only on the Mavic Pro video. Does that mean the older Mavic captures more details? Is there any worth to upgrading it? The same thing, if we look at the trees lighting, you can notice the leaves being more sharp in the Mavic Pro situation, but the dark spots are better on the Mavic 2. Now let's look at the Mavic Air 2. It seems to be somewhere in between Mavic 1 and Mavic 2 when it comes to standard sharpness. As you can see, some details in the construction blocks and the rooftop. However, the color reproduction is not that good and the dynamic range is noticeably worse than both, as you can see in the dark areas of the tree right here and the roof. But why does the original Mavic Pro look like it has more details? Let's check a theory of mine. I suspect that just because the camera on the Mavic Pro has more sharpness by default, it must create the impression that there are more details. So I put the Mavic 1 and 2 in the exact same spot on my window, and let's see how things go. At a first glance, we can see the Mavic 1 has burnt spots on the screen, which means the auto white balance didn't do such a great job at figuring things out. The dynamic range on the Mavic 2 seems much better, as you can clearly see the foliage in the tree on the right, which was close to it. The Mavic 1 has a wider angle than the Mavic 2. This auto white balance wasn't good enough, as I tried to capture the sky too, so let's do it manually and adjust so we can see the buildings and foliage good enough. This should be about right. As you can see, the close-up tree is still dark while the sky has too much light. On the Mavic 2 image, we can clearly see a bright tree nearby, details in the buildings and even some of the blue sky. This photo takes a lot of advantage of the wider range of exposure of the Mavic 2 Pro. If we get a closer look at the details, we can see another story this time around. If we cut the same pixel size from both images, the proportion differ a bit. And as you can see, when both drones are in the exact same spot, the detail on the Mavic 2 is much better. as objects appear a little closer, all at the same resolution. The text here is much clearer, and in the Mavic 2 image we can almost read the car blades. But then again, the Mavic 1 has a wider field of view, which means it captures more information on the side. Let's see if increasing the sharpness from the app will deliver different results. I have taken 3 videos in 4K with the Mavic 2 from the same spot, with different levels of sharpness. When it comes to trees, they seem to have a slight advantage when a +1 sharpness is applied, but that might just be because there's more random detail added. Text isn't more readable. The trees do seem to pop up a bit more, but that doesn't mean there's actually more detail when adding +2 sharpness. Other details stay the same or actually get worse. This means that in the first example, when we notice that things are sharper with the Mavic 1, might just be because the over-sharpened feel of the camera creates an additional information that creates the illusion of a more detailed image, especially when it comes to trees. Now if you get back to the previous image and we try to sharpen the images of the Mavic 2 and Air, we can see that the trees start to get more detail out of nowhere, which is exactly what the Mavic 1 over-sharpened image tricked us into thinking. So the Mavic 1 image isn't necessarily sharper than the Mavic 2, but there's actually an illusion of a better image. That doesn't mean the Mavic Pro doesn't have enough detail. It's actually very close and I'd say almost unnoticeable from afar by unexperienced people. Then again, I might be wrong too, but you saw the videos yourself, so you can be the judge. You can throw stones at me anytime down in the comments. I won't get mad, I promise. If we sharpen the image on the Mavic Air, we can also see that apparent improvement in image quality, but the details are getting strange, as we can see at the windows. The image is still very good considering the price compared to the other two, but with the sharper issue out of the way, the clear winner is the Mavic 2. Now let's see how these 3 drones handle low light. And by low light, I mean darkness. The Mavic Pro clearly has some issues because with everything on auto and standard settings, it seems to have a lot of noise and strange color patterns. The image does appear better lighted than the Air, but that's because the drone made it a bit too bright and it has more noise. The Mavic 1 has a yellow tint to it, which is not very accurate. The Mavic 2 Pro clearly beats the other ones by a lot. Not only the image is much more lighted, there's also not much noise either. The 1-inch sensor clearly did its job very well, and there's simply no comparison. Details are much better on the Mavic 2. This is a test with real human beings. You draw your own conclusions of this, but I would rank the Mavic 2 first, the Mavic 1 second, and the Air third, just like their prices are. The skin colors are again much more accurate on the Mavic 2, but when it comes to details, there's not much difference between Mavic 1 and 2. A thing I don't like about the sharpened Mavic 1 image is if you look at this guy's t-shirt, it has a strange pattern that looks choppy. The Mavic 1 does seem to have the advantage to make you look a bit like Messi, and the Mavic Air, although clearly less detailed, makes him look a little bit like Benedict Cumberbatch. If you try to get a closer look at me, well, the same thing applies pretty much. The Mavic 2 has the better color reproduction. The additional sharpness the Mavic 1 seems to come with even makes this shadow on my shoulder have strange artifacts and not be smooth. By the way, let me remind you, if you want to compare these 3 drones when it comes to specs, there is a link down in the description and in the first comment with the official DJI comparison table, where you can actually look at every spec side by side and decide which one is the best for you. Here's another interesting shot that shows quite a lot of important information. At a first glance, we can obviously see the one on the Mavic Air is less sharp and seems to have less detail too. But is that actually true? Let's sharpen it a bit in Photoshop. Strangely enough, the details look a bit better in my opinion with a little bit of sharpness. But if we add more, we can see there's no additional details we can see and the image turns edgy, which is what we can see in the Mavic 1 image. Although it seems sharp, the details are quite washed down. If we look at the tower on the Mavic 1, it doesn't feel very three-dimensional because the color and shadow is not very accurately reproduced. On the Air, there is a more 3D reproduction of the tower, making it look more like a cylinder, but there's less detail. The best situation of all three we can find again on the Mavic 2, surprise surprise, where it actually looks like a proper tower and not like a square thing with no shadows. If we look a bit at the city that's very far, we can see that the Mavic 1 has basically no color difference for it and it pretty much blends with the color of the sky. However, in the Mavic 2 you can clearly see the color of the buildings and the trees and even the fade of the mountain afar. Trying to increase the saturation and vibrance in post-processing doesn't make any difference. Even the Mavic Air seems to have more details when it comes to the far away color. On the Mavic 2 we can also see some additional details far away on the building's windows and the rooftops and other buildings overall. Mavic Air seems to have the fewer details, but the color reproduction is more accurate than Mavic 1. Let's use the same image to see how shadows look. These seem to look pretty much the same, but with a few slight differences. As you can see, at the bottom of this tree in the Mavic 2 image, we can actually see some more trees behind the shadow. In the Mavic 1 there's a slight glimpse of some leaves, but nothing really noticeable, and on the Air all we can see is black. If we sharpen Mavic 2 image, again we can see additional detail in the leaves. What Mavic 2 Pro has that the others don't is the 10-bit D-Log recording. The other two drones have 8-bit recording, which equates to about 17 million possible colors. Yet the Mavic 2 can record in 1 billion colors, which is insanely better and will allow for incredible post-processing of color for professionals. Just look at what the YouTuber Handboo did with this Mavic 2 Pro. Well, until now I have only compared the 4K footage of the drones. But let's go and see what other things the cameras can do. I'll stop my commenting for a while and let you see for yourself how the footage compares. Let's start with the 2.7K recordings and then put on some slow-mo vids.
Get out the way, bitch, get out the way. Move, bitch, get out.
To be noted that the maximum frames for the Full HD resolution for both Air and Mavic 2 is 120 frames per second, while the Mavic 1 has 96 maximum. I'm not getting into the photo aspect of the drones in this video. I will reserve another video for that comparison, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon because I will post it pretty soon and we'll see which one takes better photos. Don't forget to comment down below your opinions on this matter and also click the link in the description to join our Discord server to ask questions or maybe brag about the pictures and videos you took with the new Mavic 2 Pro. See you later, alligator!
See you later, alligator.